we have politicians criticizing APAC.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah,
And it's just like that equivalency is so revolting. But it's just like you said, Matt. It's mask off time.
Yeah, they're just
It's mask off time.
It's like the time's running out. You got to make sure you got a fucking seat on in the bunker.
This is, and I think there actually is, to some extent, they know they've lost the argument with everyone under 50, and so it's much like the Republicans clinging to power by any means necessary. The Democrats are going to go the fully on board APAC Democrats are going to just do everything they can to just maintain their grip on the party.
And we're going to see some real McConnell-esque legerdemain on the Democratic side during this upcoming fucking primary for the presidency to make sure that it's not Bernie or maybe even Warren. But either way, they're going to get dirty again.
Well, the thing with APAC now, if you're a Zionist under 50, which still exists, but in shrinking numbers,
that's what I put on for my parameters when I'm on Tinder.
Zionist under 50. Your move isn't to be an APAC person. That's totally out. Your thing is to be well, look, I don't support Netanyahu. There's a single style of politician I don't support. But, Omar went a little too far. That was a bad
language
take.
of social justice.
Yeah.
Talk about spaces and how you feel like your community needs to be heard because of the pain that you're feeling.
Well, this is everything comes full circle because for everyone over 50, it's mask off. It's I have dual loyalty, or we're not going to do shit, or fuck you. But for everyone under 50, it's they're double masking.
Yeah, adding extra masks.
Right. It's Dan Crenshaw being oh, we got to come together, and being just as odious as Tom Cotton or Trump for that matter.
Yeah.
Or it's liberal Zionists going I can't even touch APAC anymore, but what I can do is just hem and haw and find everything you can possibly to sort of cynically leverage ID politics against sort of not even anti-Zionist, just calling into question the relationship APAC lobbyists have to the government. That's the new thing. So this mask off, enjoy it while it lasts, because once all these fucking boomers die and all the shitty people, all the fucking shitty people your age replace them, it's
all going to be just intersectional fascism.
Well, yeah, I can't wait till the next Donald Trump is just someone who goes, kind of a bad take.
Oh, God.
You're going to fucking wish it was 2019 again.
Oh, God. I have to say to the illegal immigrants, not your best, my dude.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's the new thing. That's, as we like to say, you love to see it.
He announces the enabling acts, and he says, so I wrote a thing.
Alex, you talk about how it basically took Obama into his second term to realize, or at least even pretend to realize, who the Republicans he was dealing with actually are. What, the current Democratic Party, whether it's Pelosi or Schumer, did they get it, or do they just pretend not to, or what is motivating? What aren't they seeing? They're not what is preventing them from making the case that the Republican Party, as it is constituted, from top to bottom, is a threat to everyone and everything?
I wish I had actually a good explanation, and the closest I have is just that they don't want that to be true. They don't want it to be true that the Republican Party needs to be.
Because the implication is in a world they can't govern anymore.
Yeah,
their politics can't work in that world. They
right.
have no value add in that world.
Yeah,
they can't do that.
And I think it's just a rejection. It's a rejection of a reality that they just don't want to accept. But and I think part of it too is that they have, they misread the mood of the electorate, and they see people being oh, I'm sick of these politics, and I wish the politics would stop and we could get along. By which people mean
we want to win.
We want to win and then govern. Yes. People mean we want to win and then govern.
The country should come together. The country should
come together and then do the things that will make the country better, which requires stomping out the Republican Party. Yes. But when they see those same polls, they're well, what people want is for us not to be divisive, and what they want is for us to be seen as seeking compromise.
Even though the other party cannot and will not and can't and is congenitally at this point incapable of doing.
Yes.
So and you're the only one who's compromised.
The delusion, Biden is the king of this delusion.
Oh,
because
God. My God.
In his imagination, he is he's I'm going to sit down with my old colleagues in the Senate and we'll get past this. And it's like, you weren't there in the administration for 8 years.
Astounding.
Like,
you learned nothing.
Were they taking your phone calls? Like,
I mean, I doubt they were, honestly. But no, Biden is such a I hope he does run. He is such a perfect avatar of everything wrong. Like, in terms of his record, in terms of his rhetoric. He is the Kwisatz Haderach of shithead boomers. And I can't wait to see him going out there saying, you need to be able to just shake a man's hand and look him in the eye.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is currently pulling the best out of any of the Democrats, and I think like people.
They want to return to normalcy.
They want to go back to Obama.
Yeah,
they really just want to go back to Obama,
danger.
even
That's
though
the scary thing.
That is very scary. Even though, like as we've been talking about, like Obama led to this point because at a moment when he had the ability to use power in a way that could change this country for the better, he elected instead to defer to these kind of managers, like the people like I said, like Larry Summers or Geithner, and he chose at every point to just sort of defer to the betters. And your betters are, of course, all the people who essentially believe what Republicans do about the economy.
Yeah.
But just without any of like the insane culture war stuff.
I mean, people, if Obama could legally run, he'd win next.
In a walk away.
Biden. So I actually have a funny take on this, and I actually sort of hate discussing the horse race shit because I think everyone who does ends up sounding like an idiot. But my funny take on this is that it's this huge backfiring effect where Democrats have, for self-serving reasons, for years, basically convinced their own primary voters that they have to care about electability, and electability is defined by who like mainstream Democrats go decide to work for. So like normal voters get all these signals from on high, from the media, from elected officials, from like the party, that like you need to care about electability, and we decide this person's electable. And I actually think Hillary Clinton losing has caused this insane backfiring in the minds of voters who care about electability, where they think they are preemptively thinking they have to go for the most conservative white guy candidate possible.
Yeah.
So even as Clinton veterans are like trying to get Harris elected, like they are all working for Harris and trying to make her be the next thing, voters are saying, we can't take that risk. We like her a lot, but boy, she's risky. And like, so it's a crazy backfiring effect where they are like the old white guys. They're the ones we got to pick.
It's like 04.
Yeah, they're not.
You have a really hated incumbent president like that, Democratic primary voters just lose their fucking shit.
Yeah, and they think they have been trained. They've been trained to think they're not allowed to pick the one they like. Mm-hmm. They have to pick the one they imagine other people like.
Yes.
And
in fact, it's a virtue to do that.
Yes. Yeah. You have to pick the one you imagine other people would like, and the way you imagine how other people think is just this like weird, like sort of sense you get from the mainstream media and the liberal media of like other people like wanting a white, slightly conservative person, but not
it is
like
dare I say it is ideology at its purest form.
Yes.
I mean, I guess like before circle back to like the Mueller report and all the people who have been waiting on bated breath for this utter and total anticlimax. I see that Rachel Maddow's ratings are down now.
Yeah.
I mean, like for the MSNBC audience, like, is this going to be just like, I mean, not to use the pun, like a Muellerites of the 1840s, like, like when prophecy, when prophecy fails thing, are they going to double down on this, or is this going to be? I would hope for some it would lead to a moment of kind of productive cynicism, where it's just like, oh, like actually America is working the way it's supposed to. It's just what America is something different than what we thought.
If you want to sort of come up with the economic explanation for MSNBC, it's that the people who run it actually hate liberalism. They are not liberals and they hate liberalism. And the only way they could have a network that is anti-Trump is by focusing on a subject that has very little actual political content. So they were sort of like, that was actually the beauty of it. And now in the absence of that, like they will have to decide, are we actually going to let our quote unquote liberal host do liberal anti-Trump content because we don't have this like law enforcement or scandal angle anymore.
I think it'll persist. I've been thinking about this, and we were talking earlier about what are the policymakers and the media figures who were big on Russia thinking, and we talked about how they don't want to take responsibility for losing and all that. But when it comes to the grassroots, and I think it was we probably in our minds overstate the number of people who are really obsessed with this shit, but it probably is a significant number of millions of people.
I mean, it's probably whatever Maddow's ratings were before
Exactly,
the report. Yeah.
And it's like with them, I feel like what they like about it is not necessarily anything about protecting the Democratic Party. It's that it's like any other conspiracy theory, including QAnon shit. It's the final embrace of one's powerlessness in the political process.
Yeah, totally.
It's
yeah.
where you say, I can't. It's like they don't want to do politics, right? That's why they wanted to talk about Russia. Well, they can't, regular people can't do politics.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability. They don't have any feel like they have institutional control.
I mean, that's,
or any ability to organize.
That's the story of every almost every development of the last decade.
Yeah.
It's like people. How are people dealing with the reality
disempowerment?
How are people dealing with disempowerment? And it's an overwhelming and depressing feeling. And
one of the ways to cope with it is to turn it into a story that you can watch.
Yeah.
And you can investigate.
Yeah.
Like the QAnon thing, it's interactive, it's gamified.
Yeah.
You get to go through the Russia stuff. Ooh, what are these connections? I'm reading this Seth Abramson thing. I'm watching Maddow put the things together. It's just like QAnon. Either way, it is an expression of your powerlessness in the political process and how you might as well turn it into an entertaining fucking show if that's all it's going to be.
But I mean, like the funny thing about this, and like I know we have, on the show been contemptuous of this mode of political thinking or the idea of, we've made fun of, impeachment. But here's the funny thing. Trump should be
impeached. Of course
he should be impeached.
Like leaving aside, forget all the Russia collusion stuff. None of that ever made sense to me because I never could actually figure out what it was supposed to mean.
I mean, he's like,
other than like he met with the Russians or something.
Collusion's not a thing.
He's like,
no one talked about that.
He's committed massive tax fraud, probably money laundering, all this other shit.
How about paying off a porn star in the middle of an election to cover up?
I mean, all that stuff you would have to prove, right? You'd have to prove in a court of law. So hey, it might take a while to impeach him or in the court of public opinion. So if you started impeachment proceedings on day one, it might take you a few months even to get it together. But you could have impeached him the moment he fucking swore on that Bible because he never fucking stopped having control of his business empire.
Yes, exactly.
Which is flagrantly unconstitutional.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like you don't even have to fucking make a case that he did that.
Well,
he talks about it.
What the Democrats don't like. Exactly. They don't want to. This is it's a broken record on this, but yeah, they don't. They wanted an authority figure who was not a Democrat to give them permission to do that.
Yeah.
And
they don't want it to be political.
Alice,
they need that Mueller figure.
But like 2 weeks ago or whatever, like when Pelosi came out and said like Trump's not worth
I love the way she said that.
Yeah.
Like a bad boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't key his car. He's not worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the president of the United States?
Dude.
Doing mondo crimes every fucking day?
Yeah,
having fucking syphilitic dementia and being clearly mentally unfit for office.
So that's it,
dude. My kids are here. You're just not worth it. You're fucking lucky, pussy. When I come back here next week, you better not be president.
It's like,
because I will fucking impeach you then. But like, honestly, dude, it's not even. I just fucking feel bad for you. You're seriously fucking pathetic, dude. You think like being president gives you power? Yo, fuck you. All right, I'm out. Let's leave, Chuck.
Sick of fake
But Alex,
presidents.
but like when I saw Pelosi say that, I was like, is this just like her doing politics, or like I was actually kind of stunned by that?
I think